Yes, I know, I'm also going crazy because of this self-quarantine thing. And I've run out of books, movies, and series that would end the boredom caused by this confinement. But wait, speaking of series, yes, I have to admit that it's my guilty pleasure. But in my defense, my binge watching can be blamed on the quarantine. And it's that, with so much time in isolation, I couldn't avoid entering the world of Netflix and checking out the reality show that everyone is talking about. Do you know what I mean? If you don't, then don't move from where you are, and I'll tell you all about Love is Blind and the strict rules that participants had to follow to find true love. Of course, don't forget to subscribe to our channel and turn on the notifications to not miss anything. Look at what's going on. Right now, in these strange times when the best thing to do is to stay at home and avoid physical contact as much as possible, the Netflix producers and important people came up with the brilliant idea of a show that deals precisely with that. I mean, they didn't think of making a production in which people couldn't touch each other. Well, they kinda did. I better explain it to you, although I doubt that you still don't know what I'm talking about. It turns out that last month, around Valentine's Day to be more exact, the famous streaming platform released the first season of Love is Blind. For those who have just started watching the series or still haven't finished it, I'll do my best not to give too many spoilers. But for those who have no idea what it is about or are wondering if they should give it a try, let me explain. The aim of this reality show is basically to help the contestants, 15 men and 15 women, find love. Yes, I thought the same. It's already been done a million times. However, this new production has some new elements. To be honest with you, I'm far from being a fan of this type of show. But correct me if I'm wrong. In most of them, the contestants can see one another in order to get to know each other, right? Well, in Love is Blind, that doesn't happen. Or at least not in theory, hence the name of the show. And it's that currently it may seem that what matters in love and dating is physical appearance, which is something very shallow. But whoever hasn't downloaded Tinder, Badoo, or at least tried to sign up to a dating site to look for a hookup, or even just out of curiosity, please raise your hand. What, now it looks like that I'm the only one who found love like that. Alright, I get you. You know, on this channel, we don't judge anyone. However, the intentions of this program are to prove that true love, the kind that is selfless and authentic and isn't shallow, still does exist. I know, it sounds too romantic, but well, the idea is good. You can't deny that, can you? Because of that, it's not surprising that ever since its release on February 13th, Love is Blind has been in the top 10 of the most watched shows on Netflix in the United States. But if you're thinking that the contestants had a great time and it was like a challenge who will get busy under the covers first, as it usually is in other productions of the same type, the truth is that it's not like that. And this is exactly what made the reality show so successful. But before I tell you more, I better talk to you about some of the rules that the participants had to follow. The things people do for love, geez. The first and probably the most important thing of all was to be authentic. And of course, when you're not able to see the other person, the only way that you can build some type of connection and attraction is through the way you act and treat your possible candidate. Yes, of course, a beautiful voice is also an extra advantage, but first things first. The next thing was that the producers had to be really careful while choosing people who really were looking for their other half and not for their 5 minutes of fame and some sponsorships on Instagram. Because of that, they had to go through a selection process and multiple interviews during the audition. But wait, I'm already telling you about rules, auditions, and selections, and I haven't even told you about how the candidates who are supposed to find their partner get to know each other. Well, the procedure is simple. Each of them, a man and a woman, enters a small room that the producers of the show decided to call pods. Both pods are isolated and soundproof and are separated by a wall that looks like it's made of water, but in reality it's just a screen. And precisely because of that sound isolation, the only way they can communicate with the other side is through a microphone and a speaker. And now that I've made it clear how the show works, and I mentioned men and women, both groups have to be separated by gender throughout the recordings. In fact, they didn't even have the same coaches or support team. But why would they need that? Well, considering that they were away from their homes, slept in trailers, they had no contact with their family and friends, and were without the internet and a cell phone, the truth is that if they didn't want to go crazy, they definitely needed to talk to someone who understood them and could give them some advice and guidance. In fact, everything I mentioned above was with the deliberate intention to make each participant feel that finding love wasn't an easy task. Can you see why I said that it was different from the other dating programs? But if the contestants weren't allowed to be in touch with the outside world, not even through their social media, then what the hell were they doing during their time of seclusion? Well, in the case of the ladies, the truth is that they formed quite strong friendships, and many times they gave each other advice and words of encouragement. In the case of the gentlemen, they kept rather busy doing competitions, cooking, and playing cards. Oh yes, there were also those who preferred the company of a good book or writing in a diary to keep a record of the passing days, because when you are locked up, you lose track of time. Also, it's not like they had too much free time, because despite being highly restricted, they would go back to the pods to talk to their potential partners. And they had no time limit to stay in the rooms. The only thing they were recommended to do was to take breaks to eat and sleep. However, sometimes the conversations they had were so good that some of the contestants slept for only 5 hours, and it was only their physiological needs that made them stop the conversations. And time was not the only thing that was not limited. The contestants were very demanding in everything, but the production team also gave them what they wished for. For example, snacks and alcohol were not a problem for any of them. In fact, even Peyton, the dog of Jessica, one of the most popular participants on the reality show, got a sip of red wine, and boy did she like it. And as expected, the defenders of animals wouldn't let it slide. You know, I was going to tell you why Jessica Batten became one of the most controversial and popular participants of the show, but I think that would be giving out too many spoilers. People who have already finished watching it, what do you think? I better tell you that, although the main intention of the production was that the participants found true love and could finally take things to the next level in their potential relationships, none of them was forced to tie the knot. But without revealing any names for those who are watching the series, there were a few weddings. I won't say more. One thing that is clear to me is that none of the contestants were there for the money. Because although the production covered some of the expenses of the weddings, in the end, it was those who decided to get married that were responsible for footing the bill for major ceremony costs. Don't you think that's reasonable? And by the way, now that we're talking about this, many doubted the authenticity and especially the legal validity of the weddings. Well, guess what? No, it's not one of those fake or pretend weddings, because the producers of the reality show confirmed that those who decided to tie the knot did it legally. There's a saying that's like, wherever you go, you won't be liked by everyone. But the truth is that it not only applies to people, but also to other things. One of them, of course, is Love is Blind. And it's that, according to an article published by The Guardian, although the hosts of the show, Vanessa and Nick Lachey, constantly sold people the idea that it's an experiment that would show the true faces of love, in reality, it wasn't even close to that. Well, according to the article, the show was full of contradictions, but there was one in particular that caused a backlash, and that was the alleged fairness and diversity in choosing the contestants. What's more, as described in the article, love was anything but blind in the production. And it's because the producers presented only one face of love, which loves going to the gym, so it's quite fit. It's heterosexual, conventionally attractive, and yep, obviously skinny. And the truth is that, now that I think about it, the publication makes some good points. It's because each of the contestants, although they were of different origins and ethnicities, was what in our society would be a typical beauty standard. You know, young men and women, in good shape, with a certain social status. Don't you think it would have been a good idea to put, for example, I don't know, people who are plus size or have a disability, people with different sexualities, and even people who are over 40 years old? It's a serious question. I'm just saying those would be the true faces of love, don't you think? I mean, after all, love doesn't know gender, age, physical appearance, religion, or skin color. What do you guys think? Do you think that Love is Blind and other dating shows should be more diverse? Have you already watched the show? Let us know your opinions in the comments, and if you liked this video, don't forget to share it with your people. And remember to subscribe to our channel and leave a thumbs up. Until next time.